What is up, my wonderful party people? Welcome back to another video here. It is time to resub. You dirty Resto Druids who've quit the game. It is time to return in 11.1 because we got some juicy changes here we're going to talk about. I was waiting a little bit to see if we can at least get a talent calculator, which we do now have. So I'm going to go through the changes that Resto Druid had. I would love to make a video on all the stuff happening for all the classes, but there are so many notes. You can go to the Wowhead, just type in 11.1 patch notes. You can read all this if you want. I will probably try to break down some other healers once we get a PTR and get to see all this stuff in the game. But Resto Druid had one of the biggest changes, and that's my main class, so I do want to talk about it. So I'll show you this. I actually have some little builds already, man. I know y'all want, oh, where's the builds already, man? Just let me copy pasta. So I got some ideas. I don't know yet. Obviously we have stuff to test, but just some sample builds of like what we can maybe be pushing. So interesting stuff. So for the talents here, I'm not going to read all the new talents that are coming into the game because I have them in the tree. But notable ones that I will say is this is a really cool new one that they're adding, Circle of Wind and Heaven. So you can choose between magic or physical damage. You get 25% damage for either magic or physical, depending on what you want. So this we'll have to see how this all ends up scaling. My gut instinct is, especially solo shuffle wise, you are not going to be able to do physical damage. It's just never going to happen. The game is too fast paced. But maybe in terms of the magic damage with Star Surge and Wraths, maybe it'll actually be something meaningful. Combine that with the Dream of Scenarios talent. We'll see. Odds are not going to happen though. Okay. And this is another really awesome talent I was looking at. Lucarious Teaching. So you get the bonus of it. So the reason I think this is really good is for the way I play with cat form, and if I'm in human form, and then human form buff is haste, so I get 6% haste. If I swap to cat form, I keep that 6% haste, which helps out with my energy regen. And this is going to combine with one of the new PvP talents that you're able to, once you get, the more combo points you get, the more you extend your hots, and it's going to be a really smooth gameplay. And you do get, if you go bear form and you come out, you get to keep some of that verse. Cat form, come out of cat form, you get to keep some of the crit. So pretty cool, really cool talent. This talent, I'm not sure yet. This is gonna have to see what's testing. Form a bond with the ally. Your self-healing also heals your bonded ally for 10%. Your self-healing, so just anything healing on yourself. I don't like the term self-healing, but I assume you just share healing for both of you, so it's like a massive healing buff for both players. But the talent itself has it says 2.5 second cast, and it doesn't have anything with time. So is it like the old Symbiosis where it's just a buff the whole game? Because if that's the case, it's just an auto lock-in. This is insane. It's like basically Beacon of Light. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. Because if that is the case where you could just put it on, it's a permanent buff. I thought it was going to be a cooldown, like where you put it on somebody and for the next 20 seconds or something, but it seems permanent. And if that's the case, that's an auto lock-in, and it's going to be like literally like a Beacon of Light. Assassina is renewal. This is a talent that is on the same node as regular renewal, so you can either choose to have that 1.5 minute cooldown, 30% healing buff, or when a target hits you for 12% of your max health, you instantly heal for 10% back. So they're just really, the goal I've noticed from these notes is they're trying to condense the buttons, reduce the bloat, kind of help everybody out, get people into the game again. That's another story. Okay. This is just reducing the cooldown of well-honed instincts. Just nothing really interesting over there. Nothing. This is for Boomy, making Skull Bash making like a shorter cooldown beam. Made some 1-point talents. Fluid form now updated for Skull Bash. Okay. So this is very convenient. I'm gonna have to see because skull or fluid form they did put on the bottom, which makes it hard to choose. So we're gonna have to test it out and stuff, because yes, it is really useful now for Skull Bash. I didn't think fluid form just wasn't it previously, and with Skull Bash it might be worth it because you don't have to waste that global on shifting. To be honest, I'm so used to it at this point, and we'll have to see if it's worth losing a bottom tier point, because those bottom points are juicy. And here we go to just some baseline stuff. So we got a Rejuve buff, a Wild Growth buff, a Rip nerf. So the Rip nerf is to offset the Rip buff in this talent. So this is giving you 10%, so that kind of offsets that. Shred buff. This one is not offset by it. Actually, wait, this is offset because you had the old Instincts of the Claw give you shred damage. So basically, all these tuning is just to offset the buffs and nerfs that you got. 8% baseline nerf, they offset that with an 8% buff here. Swipe, I don't care about swipe. Another big one here, Cyclone, reduced now to 5 seconds instead of 6. I think this is fine. I think Cyclone in this current meta, with how fast everything is totally fine to be nerfed. Especially, you know, not being something that breaks. And Disorienting now breaks on small damage instead of any damage. This is something they did with all of the in-cap type abilities, including Polymorph, so that they don't instantly break. They will break on a small amount of damage, probably similar to a Fear. Hopefully not similar to a Fear, but hopefully more similar to like a Root. If it's similar to a Fear, we're in trouble. But let's see. This was the passive verse ability that they removed. Okay, going down into Restoration. Improved Nature's Cure is now level 10. That is the curse one. That is really nice, man. So we don't have to waste a talent point and forget to put curse to spell on. It was silly. It was silly. So that's all the time now. Okay, this is something that is going to be very interesting, and we're going to have to test this. So they are adjusting the mastery quite a bit, because if you play Resto Druid, you know that mastery is a problem, because you have to max stack it, and then it takes you so many globals to get the heals up. And then once you finally get like 3-4 hots, then you can finally actually do meaningful healing. So what they did is they buffed the effectiveness by 30% baseline, but it now reduces its bonus with each additional heal over time effect. The goal of this is to more heavily reward the first few healing over time effects applied to allies, while tempering the scaling at large overtime counts. This scaling will still always make it a bonus to have additional hots on. So basically, you know, when you're in those emergency situations and all you have is like a Life Bloom, Rejuve, Swift Mend, that buff of that Swift Mend buffed by Mastery will be a lot more impactful than it was previously, which is nice, because one of the I think, you know, the baseline biggest problem is it just takes too many buttons to actually do meaningful healing. So we'll see how the scaling actions are working, because there was also in the PvP section. This thing is so long. In the PvP section, they also, I might as well just bring this up now because talking about the mastery. Where are we? Was I not even in it? Oh, here we go. Sorry. These talents are so long. I didn't even go to it. I'm so stupid. I'm sorry. Hold on, guys. PvP. Okay, Druid here. So what they also did with the mastery is it's no longer reduced by 20% in PvP. So mastery is going to be epically strong, especially when it comes to those abilities. I have a very strong feeling they're going to have to nerf Druid. Very, very strong hunch that that's going to have to happen. Dude, I should have opened this up in 2 tabs. This is insane. Okay, coming back to here, Tranquility channel time is now reduced to 5 seconds, was 8. Total hitting unchanged. Do note, by the way, they didn't talk about this in the notes specifically, but the Trank PvP talent is gone. So that immunity that we had is gone. So that is a pretty nice nerf. Having that backup as Trinket Trank was so important to have. So really a little bit sketch there. So Trank is going to... yeah, I don't know if we're really going to use Trank much anymore, unless you're just behind a pillar healing. NS is now 100% stronger, which is quite alarming. But again, because now we have 2 charges of this, so this is really crazy. Flourish now causes an initial heal on effect in the splitting of them. We don't really use Flourish in PvP. All damage reduced by 20%. This is to offset that big 25% talent that was up above. The 25% damage and healing one. It does kind of suck that if you're not talented into this, you're going to do literally negligible damage. So yeah, that's sort of a problem, because you know, in Cholo Shuffle builds and like threes builds, when you like can't really afford to play everything offensive, your Star Surgers and Wraths are just gonna suck now. Kind of sucks, but we'll see. Okay, so let's move on down. So that is the baseline tree. Let's go to the PvP stuff. Okay, so PvP, we have some new talents here. Actually pull them up here on the talent calculator. So Forest Guardian is Wrath, Starfire, Clone, Cyclone, and combo point generating abilities extend the duration of active heal over time effects by 1 second on up to 3 allies. So one question I have on this, is it every single hot if I have 4 hots on the target? Or is it just extending 1 hot for 1 second? Because that would make a very large difference. Because if it's extending your regrowth hot and not your life bloom hot, it's like Please don't do that. And then also Star Surge and combo point spenders increase the rate of your healing over time effects by 20% for 4 seconds. I think it says 25% in the patch notes. I don't know which one's right. Yeah, it says 25% here. So, but basically what they're trying to do is make it rewarding to do other things besides just sit in the back and heal. So even at the minimum, just weaving in Star Surges is going to increase your healing over time. And if you combine this with, you know, geez, why am I blanking out here? Dream of Cenarius, but again, the bottom of that tree is another problem. But you can also, you know, get a little bit more healing out of all these abilities as well, especially if we're talking about the wraths. So you can sit there, spam wrathing while keeping your hots kind of afloat and doing healing at the same time. Kind of makes it more rewarding to do this. Interesting that they added in Cyclone as well. I didn't think they would do that, but I guess in a way, Cyclone is an aggressive playstyle. So that is the one new talent. The other new talent is Ancient of Lore. So 1.5 second cast. Ooh, it's a cast. Oh snap! I don't like that. I didn't realize that. Why did they why did they go down the route of making cooldowns to casted, like Arcane Surge and stuff? But 1.5 minute cooldown rather than the 3 minute cooldown on Incarn. Shapeshift into an Ancient Lore, preventing all crowd control, reducing damage taken by 20%, and granting you access to Blossom Burst and Mass Blooming. Reduced movement speed, kind of like the old tree form. It lasts 12 seconds. Blossom Burst heals an ally for whatever amount and applies one missing healing over time effect. If all of them are present, Blossom Burst critically heals. Are these instant spells or casted spells? Makes a difference. I imagine they're instant. And then Mass Blooming heals 5 allies and applies one missing healing over time effect. One missing healing over time to each person, or just one in general? Dude, the verbiage could have been better in a lot of these abilities, huh? But we'll see when they come out. I mean, once the PTR comes out, we can figure out all this stuff. So my thoughts on this one is I don't think it's going to be taken unless it's affected by all the CDR. Because if it's affected by CDR of Cenarius Guidance, so your Incarn is reduced for 10 seconds every Go Guardian, it would probably be nerfed, I imagine, in terms of not 10 seconds per, maybe like, since it's half the cooldown, maybe it's 5 seconds. But if it's affected by something like that, and it's also affected by reforestation, that could be dirty. My guess is that it's not, because it's a casted spell. Well, at least the reforestation. So if it's affected by the CDR and reforestation, this is going to be really, really good. If this is not affected by CDR and reforestation, I don't think it's going to be played. I think you're going to end up still sticking with regular tree, because the biggest thing from regular tree is, one, it's 30 seconds long, and it has a crazy CDR. It only ends up being around a 2-minute cooldown, and you have 10% bonus flat increase healing, and gives you the instant cast roots, like and the enhanced wraths. So like, I think overall, I think Incarn should be a no-brainer take, unless you have CDR. And with the CDR, this ends up being like, I don't know, like a freaking 30 seconds. No, even if it's a 1-minute cooldown, like having 12 seconds of crowd control immunity, and you could just sit there and spam clones on people, or just spam damage. That's also another thing. Oh, I didn't realize that. Yeah, so you could just spam damage on this as well. You can use this if you are getting like a short cooldown on this, because you're immune to CC. You can just kind of sit there and spam cast. Well, I wonder if you can even cast Wrath and stuff. I guess you can. So, all right. So a lot of questions still left on that. Otherwise here we have Life Bloom has been increased by 15%. This is to offset focus growth, which is a wonderful change. I think Life Bloom is still going to be a net nerf because of all this, but it is really nice to not have to worry about all 3 stacks of Life Bloom anymore. The UI did not support it well. It was just a pain in the butt. So we're back to having 1 Life Bloom, which is so nice. Less buttons to press, and they did offset it at least. Cool. And they also, yeah, I think this is a pretty gnarly nerf in there though. Not losing Trank immunity is like freaking crazy, because you might not even take you probably take, I don't know, because the other talent buffed Trank by 20%. You might not even take Trank anymore unless you're running it for the CDR. All right, well, that's all the changes in terms of the talents. Let me break out some builds, because they shifted so many talents on the general tree, which is great. They just forgot one. Get rid of Nature's Vigil, please. Throw this in the garbage. It sucks in PvE, it sucks in PvP. Nobody plays this, nobody likes this. And they should put Convoke over there. Anyway, let's get back to the video. So I have 3 builds here that I just kind of whipped up out of nowhere. Again, these are, I'm probably going to change these in terms of once the game comes out, of course, and once we even see the PTR. But I just wanted to give you, because it's always fun to just test this stuff out. So I made one build that would be more, this one would be more like a solo shuffle style gameplay. And then one that's based on like doing more range damage, and then one that's based on doing like something I would play in 2s with Convoke. Okay, so big notes of change here. Well, this way would be the same. They moved Skull Bash to the middle, so pretty much everybody can take Skull Bash, because everybody will end up taking Skull Bash, I imagine, which is kind of cool, and it does, you know, make you want to take Fluid Form. But like I'll show you down below, we kind of have some choices here. Okay, again, this is baseline. This stuff's all the same over on this side. Nothing's changed here. Cyclone's down the middle on the same as Soothe. All this stuff is still the same. Okay, this talent node is where you have renewal versus Asenia's renewal. I'm gonna say I assume the new one will be better because of the 30-second cooldown. But we'll have to see. I mean, how often it triggers. I mean, getting hit for 12% of your health, is that a lot? If you have 5 mil, that's like getting hit for over 500k, right? Yeah, that's probably pretty common. Wait, that's gonna trigger all the time. That's just gonna be a passive heal, so I don't know. Would it be better just to have baseline? I don't know. Probably not. We'll have to see. But this stuff's all the same down here. They did make this talent and lingering healing also affect regrowth hot. What the duration of regrowth on yourself? That was not really necessary. They could have just changed this talent. But Well-Honed Instinct is now a little bit higher up. It's easier to get your improved bark skin now, which is nice. Bash is still down over here. They moved the movement speed down at the bottom as well. And over here in the middle is where we have all those damage talents. This is Fluid Form over here. This is our physical or magical damage. And then the Lucarious Teachings lingering effect. And then our symbiotic relationship. So this is going to be the make or break for me on the build on the bottom. If this is like as good as it sounds, then this is probably what a general idea what I'll go for. The reason I would still stick with Star Surge and Maim is because of this talent here. So just weaving in Star Surge is just going to increase your healing over time. So you're going to want to press that Star Surge on cooldown. I still would like to play with Maim myself. And the way that this build would work is it's not about damage. It's about getting Maims and about getting Star Surges and clones. And that's about it. So having the lingering haste would be insane for generating combo points, and our haste levels are going to get pretty wild going into the later seasons. So this would allow you to, you know, weaving in those archers just to be pretty easy and being able to generate combo points very quickly. So yeah, that's the idea on this build. It would be with Wildstalker, of course. And yeah, this is Marker's shuffle build, not like a generic one. If you were playing more of a generic one, you probably would end up dropping these two talents up here. And you probably wouldn't play Lucarious Meditation. You might. I mean, really, there's not much other choice. The things that I've missed out on, or there's a couple defensive talents that I don't have. I like having Typhoon, to be honest, but maybe you would drop. I feel like Typhoon is clutch as hell, man. So is Mass Entangle. Oh, I'd probably lose Lingering. Maybe you could probably lose Lingering Healing and go for Fluid Form if you did want to do that. I don't know. I feel like I don't need Fluid Form though. For the way that I play, like I'm in cat form enough that I don't think I need to have Fluid Form, but somebody who doesn't play cat form, Fluid Form would definitely be a plus. So I don't know yet. We'll see. Also, I do want to note, this was not noted in the original notes, but they changed Call the Elder Druid. Call the Elder Druid now triggers off of Star Surge, Rake, Shred, or Frenzy Regen. So it doesn't trigger off of shifting anymore, which is super nice because it would proc when you didn't want it to proc. So when you press Star Surge, you'll see it go, or Rake, or Shred. So just another note in there. Okay, going over to like a damage healing or range damage build. So this may be a possibility as well. We'll have to see how the tuning is, of course. But if you wanted to play more based on like Tree Form, casting Wraths, casting Star Surges, and even maybe potentially getting able to run Stream of Sonaris as well. So in this build here, I just added on Starlight Conduit, which gives you the shorter cooldown Star Surge. Did I have that in the other one? Oh, I did in both. Yeah, because Star Surge you have to have the short cooldown because of the PvP talent. But then I added up adding Lore of the Grove, which is 10% Moonfire damage, 25% magic damage here from Circle of the Heavens, and yeah, just dropped kind of this stuff over here. Oh, I don't need iron fur in here. What the heck do I have iron fur? So I do have one extra talent down here. So maybe this is the case where you could play Fluid Form? Or Well-Honed Instincts. Yeah, there's some defensive talents that I don't have on here that you could end up taking. But then finally here, a Convoke style build. So this one is probably the one that I'm most confident that I would probably stick with. Maybe the Soul Shelf one's pretty good too though. So pretty much taking all of the physical damage stuff as well as the Star Surge stuff. Because I was able to kind of skip past all this defensiveness in the middle here. So Rake and Rip damage, Maim, all the way down to Mighty Bash. Make sure we're getting the Ferocious Bite damage for the Convokes, physical damage buff, Lucaria's for that buff. This is basically full damage, as much damage as you possibly could take. Lore of the Grove for Moonfire. And yeah, I don't have the symbiotic relationship. If this ends up being like as good as it sounds, I would probably end up dropping the Moonfire talent, as well as probably. Man, dude, they're making me choose between Typhoon and Mass Root. Maybe drop Typhoon and go there or something like that. So it kind of depends on how strong this talent is. But yeah, there we go. So very exciting stuff coming in for 11.1, and the patch itself, if you did not see all the information on it, looks phenomenal. Like one of the best patches aesthetically that they've literally ever had. The Goblin like casino world looks like a underground Las Vegas kind of thing with drifting GTA shit. So really exciting stuff coming in 11.1. Stay tuned, follow the stream, follow the YouTube channel, and let me know what y'all thoughts are down below. Peace out.